Welcome, Annie Collins here for In Love Arts. Today we'll be creating a floral birthday card. We'll be using a stamp and a die from In Love Arts. The stamp we'll be using is called Plant Leaf Flower, and it has 3 beautiful florals and some leaves and swirls. We'll be using this diamond grid background die. Now I've cut this out of white cardstock, and I used about 110-pound cardstock. And I'm going to be layering this over this lavender cardstock. I'm showing you here so you can see the detail of this die. So this is our floral bouquet. I colored most of it, but I left one flower uncolored so I can color it here today with you. The colors we'll be using are Copic colors B00, B01, and B02. We'll start with B00. I'm just going to go from the inside, flicking out, just following the lines that the petals have of the flower, making sure to concentrate on the center and the sides. And I'll have everything I used for coloring this floral bouquet and all the materials I used in the description box below. Now we move on to B01, which is our mid-tone. Again, we're constantly pulling from the inside, pulling out with flicks. And I'm concentrating darkest in the middle and then on the outer edges of the petal so that you can see some dimension. That's what I'm trying to create with my Copics here, some dimension. And they'll lighten as they dry. So I'll go back in with my mid-tone just to even everything out. And then I'll follow with my light tone, which is the B00, just to fill in the rest of the petals. And that's it. I'm just doing the same thing, flicking my Copic marker, both outward and then inward from the top. Okay, so let's start building our card. We're going to use some arc glitter glue here on this diamond grid background die. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the edge, all 4 sides, and then little dots on the little diamonds, just to hold it onto the lavender cardstock that's laying on my desk. Making sure I get this last little side here. And once I place it on the cardstock, it's going to leave me a little border all the way around. Now I trim down the cardstock to meet or match my die. Here I'm just wiping off a little extra glue because the die is not a full 4 1/4 wide. It is 5 1/2 long. So it leaves you a nice little sides, open. So I'm centering it on my card. So now I have the white edges on either side. Now that that's pressed onto the card base, I'm going to go ahead and start putting foam tape on the back of my floral bouquet. And our card is an A2 size, which is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. And our card base is made out of 110-pound white cardstock. So I'm making sure even the leaves and that little swirl part get some foam adhesive. We want it to stay supported. I'm having to trim some of my little foam tape here to make it sure it fits. I think that's the last piece. Yep. So now I start removing all my backing pieces. Well, the backing off the foam, I should say. And we're going to place this onto our card front panel. We'll be placing this towards the bottom of the card. I'm just going to center it. There we go. Now for our sentiment, I die cut this little label, and I'm going to bring in the sentiment that says Happy Birthday and VersaFine Onyx black ink. I'm going to ink up my sentiment, stamp it into this little label, and it's just going to fit. Give it a nice even press. Not too hard because we don't want to make it blurry. And there is our sentiment. Now I know I want to place it about here, but I know I need foam tape on the right side. I don't want foam tape all across the back because I don't want it to stand up. I want it to pop up, I should say. I want it to be the same as our floral bouquet, same height. So I'm going to add a foam tape on the right side, liquid glue on the left. And the only thing I don't show is me placing some jewels in the centers of the flowers by the sentiment and up towards the top.